Midnight. Picture this, the sun's just cracking the horizon over Harbor's Bend, painting the Atlantic in strokes of molten gold, and I'm knee-deep in the salt-crusted deck of the Sea Legacy, my old girl's hull groaning like an old friend stretching after a nap. The air's thick with that briny tang of seaweed and low tide, mixed with the faint diesel burp from the engine warming up. Gulls wheel overhead, screeching their eternal complaint, and the first pot of coffee's bubbling on the propane stove below deck, filling the cabin with that rich, roasted promise of another day wrestling fish from Neptune's grip. I'm coiling lines, humming an old shanty my dad taught me something about mermaids and rum when the sleek white SUV crunches down the gravel path to the dock like it's late for a yacht party. Out steps Victoria Langford, all pearls and pressed linen, clipboard in one hand, designer sunglasses perched on her nose like a crown. She marches right up, heels sinking into the weathered planks, and jabs a manicured finger at my charter sign hand-painted, faded from years of salt spray, Rivera Family Charters, deep-sea adventures since 1952. This abomination ends today, Mr. Rivera. She bellows, voice slicing through the morning fog like a foghorn. Your illegal operation is desecrating our pristine coastal heritage. I've already filed for an injunction. Your dock's a floating hazard to marine life. I freeze, rope halfway coiled, the coarse fibers biting into my palms. Marine life lady, I've been pulling lobster traps here since I could walk, and the only hazard is you scaring off my first customers. Little did Victoria know, she'd just hooked a fight with a guy whose veins run with salt water and stubborn Irish blood. She'd picked on the wrong deckhand. What would you do if some pearl-clutching busybody showed up at dawn to torpedo your family legacy over a dock you've maintained longer than she's been Botox? Drop a comment below. Bet you've got coastal crusader stories that'd make this look like a kiddie pool splash. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Is it a landlocked suburb dreaming of waves, or are you fighting your own tide of tyrants by the shore? 0045. Let me back up and set the hook proper. Name's Alex Rivera, 42 years young, and for the last decade, I've been the captain of my fate in Harbor's Bend, this postcard-perfect village clinging to Maine's ragged coast like a barnacle on a buoy. Think weathered clapboard cottages huddled against granite cliffs, lobster boys bobbing in the harbor like colorful confetti, and that perpetual foghorn moan from the lighthouse warning ships and souls of hidden reefs. The air always carries a whisper of pine from the inland woods, undercut by the sharp ozone snap before a squall. It's the kind of place where summers draw tourists in convertibles, wallets flapping, and winters test if you've got the grit to stay. I grew up here, son of Tomas Rivera, who emigrated from Portugal with nothing but a net and a dream, building our charter business from a leaky skiff into a fleet of 3 that feeds half the village in peak season. Dad passed 5 years back. Heart gave out mid-haul, right there on the deck, face peaceful as a calm sea, and left me the Sea Legacy, the business, and my 2 boys, Finn, 14, all gangly limbs and video game obsessions, and little Kai, 9, with his gap-toothed grin and endless questions about Krakens. We're scraping by, sure tourist dollars ebb like the tide, but this dock, it's our lifeline. Our home. The spot where I taught the boys to bait a hook, where mom's ashes scattered on a windless dawn. Losing it wouldn't just sink the business, it'd unravel the last thread of family I'd stitched together after Sarah left us for a simpler life in Boston, chasing some desk job that paid in fluorescent lights. Enter Victoria Langford, the Queen Regent of self-appointed coastal crusaders. Mid-50s, but fighting it tooth and claw with highlights that screamed money and a wardrobe of linen tunics in shades of whale gray and seagull ivory. She rolled into Harbor's Bend 3 summers ago, fresh off a divorce from some Wall Street shark, buying up the old captains in a creaky B&B on the bluff overlooking our dock like it was a starter home. Slender as a reed, With eyes like chipped ice and a laugh that tinkled like wind chimes in a gale, Victoria wasn't from here. Born in Connecticut blue blood, she fancied herself a savior of the environment, but her vibe screamed I summered here once and now I own the place. Her weapon the Coastal Preservation Society CPS for short, a non-profit she'd incorporated in her guest room with a $50 filing fee and 0 members besides her cat, Mr. Whiskers, who probably signed in paw print. Officially, CPS was about safeguarding Harbours Bend's ecological integrity. Unofficially it was Victoria's personal vendetta machine against anything that didn't fit her vision of a gentrified eco-utopia, no unsightly working boats, no polluting bait shops, just artisanal yoga retreats and 12 kale smoothies. She'd moved here post-divorce, bitter as week-old chowder about her downgrade from Hampton's estates, and channeled that rage into clipboard tyranny. Spot afraid dock line CPS violation notice. A fisherman gutting catch on the pier biohazard alert. Her real game extorting donations for consulting services to fix the issues she invented. 500 to eco-audit your moorings, another 1,000 for her recommended sustainable contractors, who turned out to be cousins from Connecticut with clipboards of their own. For months, I'd ignored her side-eye glares during the village market, where she'd hawk her CPS pamphlets next to my fresh catch. But that dawn confrontation, that was her opening salvo. My charters half-day trips for tourists, teaching city folks to drop a line and feel the tug of something real, were suddenly commercial encroachments threatening the harbor's delicate ecosystem. Never mind that my traps were grandfathered under state regs, or that I'd volunteered more beach cleanups than she'd attended cocktail hours. To Victoria, I was the tattooed salt dog intruder, parking my rust bucket where her vision demanded serenity. What she didn't count on: a captain who navigates by stars and suspicions, with a nose for bullshit sharper than a filleting knife. 2:15 that first week, Victoria tested the waters like a shark circling chum. Monday, a laminated CPS notice fluttered under my windshield wiper on the Sea Legacy, violation, unauthorized commercial mooring. Remedy: relocate within 72 hours or face 250 daily fines. The paper smelled of lavender printer ink, her signature a flourish like she'd autographed a bestseller. I chuckled over my coffee, black as ink, steaming in a chipped mug, picturing her at a desk piled with essential oils and entitlement. Fines to who? Her cat's discretionary fund, I responded old school, a polite note pinned to her INS bulletin board, citing Maine Statute 38 MRSA 1301 on historical dock rights, plus a photo of my great-grandpa's 1920s permit, yellowed but legit. Appreciate the concern, ma'am, I scrawled. But this dock's been Rivera's longer than Langford's have been a name. Thought that'd reel her in. Nope. By Thursday, she'd escalated to Village Hall Theater. I stroll into the clerk's office for my annual mooring renewal, smell of musty files and lemon polish hitting me like a memory, and there's Victoria, perched on the counter like a hen on eggs, whispering to poor Mabel, our 70-something clerk with bunions the size of quahogs. Mabel, darling, you simply must deny this renewal. That man's operation is dredging heavy metals into our sacred waters. Her voice drips honeyed hysteria, pearls clicking like rosary beads. Mabel shoots me an apologetic squint over her bifocals. Victoria, Alex here's got papers older than my arthritis, Mabel mutters, stamping my form with a thud that echoes like vindication. But as I tip my cap and head out, Victoria hisses, this isn't over, Captain. CPS has friends in Augusta. Friends. The woman had a Rolodex of real estate flippers and a yoga instructor who doubled as her vice president. Escalation hit warp speed by week 3. False complaints flooded in like nor'easters, anonymous tips to the harbor master about oil slicks from my engine. It was Gull Guano, tested clean, a petition circulated at the general store claiming my charters harassed seals we fed fish heads. She even sicked the local paper on me, a puff piece turned hatchet job headlined Eco Threat or Family Tradition with a photo of the sea legacy looking like the Titanic's evil twin, fog-shrouded and ominous. The byline, penned by her in turn, a college kid she'd lured with free scones. Humor kept me afloat. Finn caught me ripping the petition 8 signatures, mostly her bridge club, into confetti for our bait bucket. "Dad, is she the sea witch from that game?" he asked, eyes wide over his braces. I ruffled his hair, smelling of teenage axe and salt. "Nah, kiddo. Just a landlubber who forgot the ocean doesn't care about bylaws." But tension coiled like a spring. Kai started asking if we'd have to sell the boat, his small hands twisting a length of rope till it frayed. Stakes my livelihood. Charters brought 70% of our income and the boys' stability. One more bad season, and we'd be couch surfing with cousins in Portland. My counter documentation, the captain's log of justice. Every notice scanned, every call recorded. Maine's one-party consent, baby. I rallied allies too, old Salty Joe, harbor master since Eisenhower, who grumbled over beers at the Anchor pub that witches society's faker than her tan, and Lena Torres, the bait shop owner with a laugh like cannon fire and a Rolodex of state reps from her glory days as a union organizer. We met in her shop back room, amid the reek of Menhaden guts and brine, plotting over clam chowder that burned going down.